everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Richard Lewis Show. I'm Richard Lewis. Joining me, as always, is my producer Sam. And just a bit of a bummer. I wanted to record one today while it was still kind of like fresh, but woke up to just some news. I don't usually get fucking over attached or over dramatic about celebrity deaths or whatever, and I've always found that kind of outpouring you see on social media and stuff to be pathetic. For example, when David Bowie died, the hashtag fuck cancer trended as if every other death before that moment. Definitely don't fuck cancer. Oh, Bowie's dead. Okay, yeah. But now cancer has gone too far, It just seemed like, people just behave like idiots. And I've always been wary of celebrity deaths anyway. Ever since Princess Diana died, and I witnessed the ludicrous levels of hysteria, and I always wanted to stay away from that. But today, just woke up to some fucking awful news that I can't pretend it didn't affect me. And that was the news that Chris Cornell had died at 52, and that he'd actually hung himself, which is just fucking awful, And, I wanted to talk a lot about that just, from the gut. And it might be cringeworthy or whatever. I don't know. No doubt Sam will be the judge of that, but just really awful. And I think I understand why when a musician dies, right? Why that is so deeply affecting, because music is like audial catharsis, right? You know what I mean? Anything you've ever gone through, there'll be a song about it.
Yeah.
And and also as well, anything you go through, there's probably a song that you recall listening to at that time period, right? And they've proven this, the way our brains kind of absorb music. For example, you see people who chronic stammerers, and they can't speak, but when they utilize the part of the brain that's musical, they can sing.
Yeah.
So it is a profound, powerful kind of spell, and I think that's why when a musician dies, it's a real, it does deeply affect everybody. I believe the outpouring of grief that I see. So I guess, the first thing that, I kind of wanted to just touch upon was just overall, what makes this death especially fucking tragic is you had in the 90s, we were spoiled with this generation of just geniuses that all pretty much seemed to spring up in the same time. Not necessarily the same place, because it wasn't just all about Seattle, but Seattle was a big part of it, right? And you have these you're watching them perform and putting out this amazing music, and you kind of know that what you're seeing, these people have been sent here by the cosmic force, and that they're here for a short time. They're not going to live to a ripe old age. It's just not feasible because of the backgrounds they're from and what they're talking about in their music. And it was like that, Alice in Chains, great example. Lane Staley, did anyone think he was going to go, to 60, 70? He didn't. I mean, this guy was so open about his addiction, and when you listen to his music, if you've ever been addicted, it's so raw and true. It's truth. And as a result of that, you always kind of felt maybe he wasn't gonna, maybe this story didn't have a happy ending. As hard as that was to admit. But you watch Lane Staley all frail on stage at the Alice in Chains Unplugged gig that they did, where he's wearing leather gloves to hide the fact he's been injecting through his own knuckles because of all the collapsed veins, and put on this beautiful, just the peak, like so many Unplugged sets were of the Alice in Chains career. Incredible vocal performance, and of course it was the last meaningful piece of work that he got to do before he was found dead from an overdose. And the same with Kurt Cobain, right? I think we all knew that probably he doesn't get to go the distance, although a lot of people speculate about that and say that fatherhood had changed him, and all these conspiracy theories about his death, which also seems to be normal when a musician dies, right? Like, everybody wants to believe it's not true, perhaps more so than any other kind of group of people, right? Like Tupac and Biggie are still meant to be alive,
Elvis.
Yeah, right, yeah, going all the way back to Elvis. So even as a young, a kid, I suppose, like I kind of just knew all of these people were on Earth for a short time, and to enjoy them while you could, going right the way back to like Mother Love Bone and stuff. Andrew Wood, if I remember rightly. There was just this the scene, the musical scene itself was kind of like steeped in tragedy already by the time it got onto the radar of middle-class white kids in Britain. And out of all of that, right, you've got, Soundgarden, who like started in like the mid 80s. They weren't just like a flash in the pan. They were part of that Sub Pop alumni, that Sub Pop label. And they were the most kind of like, out of that group of bands, they were like the most rocky, I suppose, in the sense that they didn't mind wearing the affectations of rock. Yeah, you watch Chris Cornell, he'd often perform without a shirt on, which of course was probably a bit of an anathema to all the other skinny singers in flannel, with their drug addictions and everything else. And what makes like the news today like just really fucking tragic just in general is, you lose Cobain, you lose Staley, you lose Wayland, you get through all the rubble and the wreckage. I mean, 94 was a mad fucking year for music. Like I can't even, like, people say the 90s like sucked, Like, there's people out there who think the 90s like didn't deliver anything of any sort of lasting value. In 94, I was listening to like what? You've got The Downward Spiral by Nine Inch Nails. You got Super Unknown by Soundgarden. Far Beyond Driven by Pantera. Jilted Generation by Prodigy. Purple by Stone Temple Pilots that I've talked about before. Jar of Flies, right, by Alice in Chains. Like, it's such a great year for music. Like, it's unbelievable how, like, just, and that whole time period was just so amazing, So like when you get to like 2017, most of these geniuses are dead, or they've survived drug overdoses like Phil Anselmo did, or other tragedies have befallen them. Ad Rock from the Beastie Boys, no longer with us, right? Fucking Dimebag Darrell shot. It was just nice to know that like one guy had gone the distance. Like, maybe we do get to see one of these guys die of old age, or maybe. And obviously, I definitely thought it would be Chris Cornell, right? 100%. Super successful, just phenomenally talented. Like, his talent hadn't diminished. You see a lot of people like fall the fuck off. Like Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam, to stay sane, had to just unhook himself from all of the bullshit, and they basically just became a folk rock act to just get away from it all, But I just seems just so crazy to think, and at 52, in good health, and he's doing so well, for a suicide, man. Like, that's so fucked up. And it's so fucked up when you consider this was a guy who, even though, he would never have made any claims to be like big buddies with Kurt Cobain or whatever, the suicide of Kurt Cobain deeply affected him so much that, they kind of went off the radar and disappeared for a little bit around that time. They even reissued the Soundgarden album with a song on it called Like Suicide, which was kind of a tribute. And, it really made everybody from that scene think, because it was so small and cohesive. So it's like somebody who understood, kind of the devastating effect. And you get out of that danger zone. You make it a 52, you're doing Bond themes. You got everything. And just really fucking sad. Now, like, I don't want to dwell on it, but I don't give a fuck, because I think the guy was worth talking about some more. And there's a special, like, kind of story all tied together for why it's, like, particularly important to me, and I'm just gonna fucking tell it. And if it sucks, or if it's not what people want to listen to, or it's boring or whatever, then fuck it. But it is what it is. I wasn't even gonna drink today, but definitely gonna. You got to pull one out for your boy, Just before I start rambling on incoherently, I mean, Soundgarden's a bit before your time, right? But
yeah, but like, there's still a bunch of songs that were big when I was young too, like Black Hole Sun. Even though that was 2 years or something before I was born, still just an endless classic, isn't it?
Yeah. So let me take you back in time to a young teenage Richard Lewis, right? And this is why Soundgarden, out of all of the bands at that time, like, were just particularly linked and to my life and was special to me. So in '94, I kind of got my first ever girlfriend, right? The first real one. The first love, the heartbreaker, the wrecker, And what I used to do for entertainment was, we used to go out to all the gigs at the local town hall. And the reason for that, like, no matter what band was playing, and the reason for that was if you got in, they didn't really ID you when you were in. Now I'm in my, I'm a teenager, but I was a big kid and a hairy kid, which was the important thing. So once I got in, I could fucking drink all the plastic cupped beer I wanted. And that's how I used to spend every weekend, like some juvenile delinquent fuck up, listening to whoever was there. And, sometimes it was, Radiohead before they blew up or whatever. And other times it's bands that you just never heard of, don't even have a Wikipedia page, But anyway, so I used to go to these gigs quite regular. And this one time I bumped into this chick, and she was American. Redhead American. And like, when someone just has that, like, fucking effortless cool,
Yeah.
like, you just look at them and you just think, like, yeah, right? Like, these people have, like, the fucking X Factor or whatever you want to call it. So this chick, she was like a grungy rock chick, redhead, and like, just always, like, I noticed she was, like, sipping. And she used to do this all the time. She'd have, like, a little quarter bottle of vodka that she'd sneak in somehow. You always sneak it past the security just by, using her charm or whatever. And she was just sipping vodka. And I got talking to her. And then we meet again next weekend. And then eventually we were like, fucking, like, let's date or whatever teenagers do. And like I say, she was from America. She was from Illinois. And we started dating and doing, what teenage kids do. And we used to, go out and get fucked up and drink. And her parents, who were over here working, were like, I guess Christian would be the way to describe it. So they definitely didn't like the idea of their teenage daughter running around with some British kid drinking and fooling around and, you know, whatever else. Now, as a result of things that happened, they decided that the safest thing to do was to send her back to America and to get her away from me. Right? So, 94, Soundgarden Super Unknown has been released. And it's a fucking baller album. That's the one with all the big singles on, the Black Hole Sun, the Fell on Black Days, the Spoon Man, all the ones. Like back when MTV used to play music, you know? And they would just pump out the best videos. And that's what that album was just fucking flawless. I listened to it again today. It hasn't aged. Like, it still sounds fresh now, you know?
Yeah. Which
is fucking crazy. It was released in 94, you know? And it still sounds good. And so anyway, we used to listen to that a lot, me and her. We used to put it on. When her parents were out and I used to sneak into her house and we'd fool around in her bedroom, we'd listen to Soundgarden to do it, you know? And anyway, she was getting sent back. And I remember our last kind of meeting and how fucking sad it was. And I'd gone through this sort of gamut of this explosive relationship of it being super cool and the first real girlfriend and like just an awesome, cool chick. And then having it took away from me in a real short space of time. You know, just like we're talking, I don't know, less than a year. And anyway, ironically, right, or not ironically, but I thought it was an interesting coincidence. Here I was with an American girlfriend, and she was getting sent back to America, and it was round about the 4th of July, right? American independence, which it always stayed with me for that. But what synergistically hooked Super Unknown into my brain was it had a song on it called The 4th of July. So all of these things had all tied together, and it became the ultimate sort of cathartic album to listen to iron out, you know, all these like negative feelings, because, you know, it was hard. It was a tough year anyway, 94. Kurt Cobain, obviously, you know, again, I say all my generation, the suicide of Kurt Cobain was a huge kick in the balls. You know, you were watching this great band peak, start to put stuff out that was like really going into uncharted territory. I mean, you compare Bleach to In Utero, and yeah, it's like two different fucking bands, right? The evolution is incredible, and that was just cruelly ripped away from you. You know, which as a teenager, that's like, again, that sucks. It's like a hard thing to take. Now, if I remember right, when did William Burroughs die? I think, was it? Yeah, it was 97, so it was Ginsberg in 94. I'm pretty sure. Allen Ginsberg. Let me just check. I want to get this chronology right in my mind. No, it wasn't. It was the same year. Anyway, there was some writer died in 94 that bummed me out as well. And it was like all coming fucking thick and fast. But good news was on the horizon, right? Like, as bad as it was, you know, my girlfriend's gone back to America and we resorted to writing to each other. In 1994, you know, we used to send letters, right? And I was like hanging out with all my friends, and they were like, "Oh, you know, come on, like, you know, let's go out, let's go to the town hall again." And I didn't want to do it, right? I didn't want to do it. I couldn't like bring myself to do it. I just thought back to all the times that me and her friend, and my friend would go on like these like double dates. And just as an aside, just to flesh out and add some detail, her friend was this chick called Sophie, and she had slightly bulging eyes, right? And my friend Mike had a nickname for her, which was Popeye.
Reasonable.
So they didn't hit it off, right? You know, they didn't hit it off as a result for that. So while me and, you know, my girlfriend would pair off, we'd leave these two together, and like they just didn't get along. It was great and never worked out. But anyway, in 94, there was this. The Reading Festival, right? Now, the Reading Festival, for those who aren't from the UK, is a fucking musical institution. It's been going for 40 years or something. And it just has all the fucking best musical acts there, you know? And there was this, which I've linked you to there. And this was the announcement, right? Read in 94, August. And here it is. They announced the lineup. And it's a mad fucking lineup, Sam. Yeah, you can see. Yeah, how sick is it?
It's unreal.
It's so unreal. And of course, right there on the last day, on the Sunday, was Soundgarden were going to be there. Not even the headlining act. They were below Red Hot Chili Peppers in the pecking order. And I was right, like I had to go to this. This was the this was it. This was such a big deal. And my parents weren't mad keen. Like, they don't mind me going out, they don't mind me drinking, but the idea of going away to a music festival was pretty fucking crazy. And I told them, like, if you don't let me go, I'm gonna go. You know, like, I'm just gonna find a way to go. I have to be here. I need this. So reluctantly, and what would probably be called an act of shoddy parenting these days, they said, okay. And I was allowed to go. So I got the tickets, which at the time here, it says that it's what, £55, is it?
Yeah, £55 for a 3-day ticket with camping and car park.
Right. So that's what I mean. You got fucking value for money back then.
Yeah.
Like 100%. And all of these festivals around this time were out of fucking control because, you know, you had the emergence of, like, you know, Britpop was sort of becoming a thing. But also as well, you had like other American tours. What they would do is they would use music festivals as as their way of getting over here, you know? So we had like the Warp Vans tour, used to be at the music festivals. Comedy, stand-up comedy, you know, in the 90s when we had all these emergent acts, they used to be at these festivals as well. So awesome. It's just a great time, you know? But anyway, we went down on a National Express coach, right? Me and a few mates from school. That was one of the provisos, that we had to go together as a group and stick together, you know? Yeah. And I think we were on the way down there and we were listening to the radio or something like Kerrang radio or whatever the fuck it was. And the news came out that fucking Soundgarden had pulled out at the last minute. And I was fucking like just devastated, you know? Because I can't even remember. I think Therapy were on the original lineup, but that, like, you bumped Therapy, who are a massively underrated band, by the way, from the 90s. Like, just putting that out there. They're amazing. But I'd seen them, like, so many fucking times, and they were suddenly the warm-up act for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, effectively. They were like the same. But you know, I was just fucked off. I was just like, how dare Soundgarden do this to me? Like, you know, don't they know what I'm going through? Don't they understand? And they weren't there, you know. They pieced the fuck out. Now, obviously, a lot of fucking acts were really struggling with the sort of, again, that whole, you know, Kurt Cobain suicide thing. And I had to wait. You know, like, the gig was still great, man. You know, I had like a really good time. You know, smoking fucking fake weed and, you know, just got to see some amazing fucking acts. And the great thing about going to a music festival just in general is, like, the acts that you don't expect to be good, that just, you know, just kill.
Yeah.
You know, like Frank Black was fucking amazing. At that one in 94. Manic Street Preachers, obviously, because that's vintage Manic Street Preachers. That's Holy Bible Manic Street
About
Preachers.
3 or 4 years ago, they were playing in Port Talbot, mate. I went and saw them. They were at the Labour Club, mate. Yeah,
but this is the thing. They always, when they come back to Wales, they always play like tiny little venues, you know.
Yeah.
An amazing band they are, by the way.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah. And so anyway, yeah. So I get to the end, and I'm super bitter about it all. You know, like the kind of luster's come off a little bit because I kind of, you know, because I feel like so let down. But apparently what had happened was, they just wanted to kind of take a break from touring for a little bit and collect their thoughts and process everything that was going on. So in '95, the next year, it's the lineup's announced, and this was kind of, even though Kurt Cobain had killed himself in like April of '94, this was the one where it was kind of, it was like the unofficial tribute, if you like. So Hole were there with fucking Courtney Love, right? And everyone was rubbernecking to see that shit, She was a massive train wreck. But day one, Smashing Pumpkins headlined. And I was a bit more, massive. Yeah. And I was a bit more with it, a bit more cool at this point. So in '94 as a teenager, I'm smoking fake weed. In '95 as a teenager, I'm dropping LSD. We've had a big.
Derek had a double dose.
Yeah, we bridged the gap. And then day two, right, was kind of the alternative day. You had Tricky. Björk was the headlining act. And she was fucking amazing, by the way. Like, legit. But then the moment happens. It's Sunday again. And it's Soundgarden. And they're opening up for Neil Young.
Right.
And I think Mirror Ball had come out that year, which was the joint album they did with Pearl Jam. And that fucking gig, dude, like, hands down, like, just waiting for it and waiting for it and waiting to see them and everything that it meant and all the importance that it had to me. It was just mad. I mean, like, I think they opened up with Rusty Cage and they just fucking kicked the ever-living shit. Like, just all the tens of thousands of people, just full fucking crowd, it was just amazing. It's just burnt into my mind as one of the kind of defining moments of my teenage years as I'm segueing into adulthood. And it was like a great, like, sometimes you see bands and they don't deliver. That's happened to me a bunch of times. First time I saw Metallica, for example, I was, don't want to upset anybody, but it wasn't that great. And they're notorious for like having great shows, but it kind of felt a bit soulless. I don't know if I'd caught them at the end of a tour, like the first few dates for any band, they're like, yeah, let's hit it hard, and then by day 60, like, oh fuck. But this was great. Like, Soundgarden, there was so much going on for them. Like, they felt they had to make up for last year, and obviously they had the whole Kurt Cobain thing going on. There was a tribute on the stage. I mean, even Neil Young did it as well. But it was just amazing. So they made up for it, right? I was super happy. And I never really gave it any more thought, Like, as I got older, and music still played a part in my life, but as I got older, and I kind of like moved on and started doing other stuff, and I wanted to be a writer and a journalist and that. I stopped going to the festivals. I think somewhere in the early noughties, I think I stopped going to the festivals, and I didn't really think anything of it. But then, like, it was after a DreamHack. I can't remember the year, but it must have been 2013 or thereabouts. And Chris Cornell was doing like a UK tour. He was solo now, Soundgarden had split up. And I was like, you know what? For all fucking time's sake, I brought all the memories back. Like, I'm definitely going to go and see this. I think I even had to fly. Was it a DreamHack I went to, or wasn't it? DreamHack was on. I was doing some work related for DreamHack. I think I was just covering it as a journalist, not working at the event. I wasn't big enough in esports to be allowed on a stage or anything at that point. In fact, it was definitely before CS:GO was taken off. So I came back. And I had to go to Newcastle to go see him, and we were at this gig. And it was just him and like in his band, but mainly just him and an acoustic guitar. And man, this guy, like, when someone's in a band, you don't realize how. You always worry that, like, if they went solo or if they joined another band, because I didn't really dig Audio Slave all that much, and I think it was because I loved Soundgarden and Rage Against the Machine so much that putting them together, I just didn't really. It just felt a bit strange, you know.
Yeah.
And I never really got on board with it. You know, I didn't buy any of the records, you know. But when I heard him perform solo, like I was like, fuck me, like this guy's a fucking beast. Like this guy is literally, he's got one of the best voices that rock's ever produced. And he was doing covers of songs that shouldn't work, but suddenly did. And there was a moment where there was a guy in the crowd, like a fan, and he was like shouting stuff out, and he wanted to get on stage, and Chris ushered him up, and the guy wanted to play a song with him. Fuck, was it Outshined or something? It was one of the songs of Bad Motorfinger. And this guy, he got out the crowd, fucking smashed it. Like he was fucking perfect though. It was like it must have been a plant or something. It was just too perfect. And this fan got to play, and you know, we all couldn't believe it, man. Like it was just, I don't know. It was just like you could just see that this was like just a genuine dude who just got fucking famous and just happened to be a fucking musical genius, but just like took it in stride. There was never, you know, there was just no pretense. Just in that room, just, you know, a small group of people. It wasn't a big crowd or anything. Yeah, it was just fucking awesome. And I don't know. I don't know if any of this makes any sense, but yeah, just like really fucking bummed out that you know we're not going to get to hear what he does next, or shit like Soundgarden were on tour right now, you know, coming back, and yeah, so a lot of memories for me, and yeah, I think anybody who ever watched him perform, like legit, you know, you remember that. You'll remember that for all your life, and it's just fucking sad. So anyway, there was some other stuff I wanted to talk about while I have one for Chris. And then we talked about this on the show before, and you know, Count, you know the YouTuber Count Dankula, right?
No, I don't think so.
You don't know. Well, you remember that video we showed of the pug, and he says to the dog, you know, do you want to gas the juice?
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, and he gets the dog to have like a Pavlovian effect or whatever to that phrase.
Yeah.
Well, you remember when we showed the video the first time? I can't remember what episode of the show it was, but and he said that he'd been arrested as a result of that video. Well, I thought it had gone away. I thought that was just so absurd. I just think about, like, he's being arrested for hate speech for conditioning a dog to respond to the phrase, do you want to gas the Jews?
Yeah.
I mean, it's... If anyone's at fault, it's the dog.
Arrest the dog.
Yeah. But that... He... You know, like, I can't believe it's a crime in the UK to convert a pet to Nazism, because a dog doesn't have a brain that works that way. Dogs are just, you know, they're like little kids. They don't understand what's going on. And if you're asking me, does that pug really want to gas the Jews? I don't think he does. In fact, I don't even think he knows what Jews are. I don't even think he understands the impact of genocide. And I don't think the pug understands the history behind that particular phrase. So it seems absurd. And I assumed it had gone away. Like, I really assumed it had gone away. But I actually saw a video on that Count Dankula had put out.
Right.
And he basically was explaining that he's going to trial and he faces up to a year in prison.
Fucking hell.
And again, I want to stress this. He he wanted to annoy his girlfriend by turning his dog into a Nazi. It was just a joke. It was just comedy. And whatever you think of the comedy, if you look at everything else he said, if you look at his Twitter feed, he routinely argues with Nazis and racists and people, Holocaust deniers, and this guy. He's not a racist guy. He's just a guy who likes to do edgy comedy. He's no more a racist than Frankie Boyle is. And if you've heard some of the jokes Frankie Boyle tells or watched his sketch show, Tramadol Nights, you know that he'll do material that is probably offensive to a lot of people. He's told some jokes that are unbelievable. Even I'm like wince, and I've got a pretty big threshold on this. But when he is writing columns in The Guardian, he's the guy, speaking up for marginalized groups and attacking any sort of, you doing the old punching up thing. It's not mutually exclusive. You can tell an edgy joke and still have a pure heart when it comes to, offending someone's not the same as marginalizing them. Offending someone's not the same as being prejudiced against them. You can support somebody and still have a little bit of poke a little fun at their expense. So he put a video out, which I won't watch, but I'll give you the tweet, which you can all go to, and I hope people want to show some support to this guy. Because as I said, I completely, this all happened in my blind spot, Sam. I completely forgot about, I just didn't think this would go to trial. And as he says, he believes that the outcome is decided. That's what he said. Like he can't even get a job at the moment, right? And because he's going to be, who's going to employ you if he has to declare it, and he's been charged with a hate crime. It's a hate crime, apparently, what he did, and it's just so insane, and it's just such a bad. This has like awful repercussions. If he's actually found guilty and goes to jail, the repercussions of that are unreal, because it would be someone going to jail for comedy. I don't even want to think about the repercussions of that moving forward, But he says in this video that he thinks the outcome is pretty much predetermined. He's virtually bankrupted himself, having to get a specialist lawyer to fight this, and he can't get a job. And if he's found guilty, you're unemployable at that point.
Yeah.
Imagine a job interview. So, do you have any convictions? Just one for hate crime.
And peace.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah, that's not going to line up with our diversity policy, is it? So it's a really big fucking deal. And there's like all these things like that don't matter. Like there's petitions, which I'll link you to it. Again, you can go here and but petitions never changed anything ever, has it? Ever in the history of the world, but yeah, there's petitions out there. There's all sorts. And I don't know if you remember this, but you remember when there was a guy on Twitter who was going to get, who was arrested and went to trial because he said he was going to blow up an airport because he had a bad experience there. He said something like, if I ever get chance, I'll plant a bomb in it. And Stephen Fry went and fucking spoke out for him, saying it was a ridiculous, trumped up charge, and he got off. Well, no celebrities have attached themselves to this, and that's mental. So I talked to him today about it because I wanted to get him on the show at some point because I think he's an interesting guy, and this story was interesting, and I wanted to ask him about it. But his trial's on the 22nd. It's like 4 days away at the time of recording this, and he doesn't know. And this is what he had to say. I'll just read you a little bit here. It's his pre-trial date, which is the 22nd. He doesn't have to attend it. It's just his defense and the prosecutors, and then they move ahead. And he said the trial could last like one day. It could last much, much longer. And he says, no employer wants to touch me because of this pending hate crime trial, because they know that when the trial happens, the employer will get mentioned in the paper, because the press do that as a way to, it's an underhanded way to penalize the villain of the story, right? And he said he's got an employer who might take him on after this, depending on how it goes. But he said, thanks for any support. So I'm kind of scrambling. I'm trying to reach out. I want to see if I can get a celebrity, just any celebrity, somebody with a bit of clout to just speak out about this, because I can't believe he's going to go, he's going to go to trial, potentially go to jail for this fucking joke on YouTube. And his video is fucking surreal. This video he put out today, he's going, well, so I won't be able to do my YouTube channel if I'm in prison. What is happening here, man?
So I have scheduled 400 uploads.
Yeah, it's just beyond a joke. And again, he's it's literally all because he made a dog pretend to be a Nazi on a YouTube. It's just insane. It's just insane. So if anybody wants to support Count Dankula, his Twitter is @CountDankulaTV. His bio says, I'm the Nazi pug guy. I memed too hard and now I'm going to jail. So he's kept his sense of humor about it, but he really is a cool guy. And he watches the show and everything else, and just a cool dude. And wishing him all the best, and hope we can do something in the short time before it goes to trial to help him out. Right, so let's do some stories. Let's do some news. I got some good ones that I know you're going to enjoy. Racism, Sam. Racism. It's the scourge. It's the scourge of the modern era. Everyone's racist, Sam. Racism's everywhere. Racism's never been worse, apparently. Right? Never been worse. And we've got to do something about it. We've really got to stop. So I'm going to tell you a story now about a university in Washington, D.C. And we've talked on the show before about how the Harambe meme was deemed racist somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, Sam.
Yeah, I still don't know either, mate.
I don't get it. I don't get how a gorilla being shot is racist. I don't get it. But whatever. So there was this university, and I'll link you to the report here. And what people were doing was, on campus, they were leaving bananas around. We all love a banana. And you know what else loves bananas, don't you, Sam?
Monkeys.
Apes, yes.
Don't monkeys also like fruit?
Yeah, but I mean, a gorilla's not a monkey, right?
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying,
right.
Monkeys also like fruit.
Relevant, good, liked it. Like the input. I've done a lot of talking on this one. So good. I'm glad you're here. But yeah, so you can see from this picture here, you can see what they did. So there's just bananas tied around, and it says for Harambe and stuff on the bananas. Right? Which leads me to believe that it's a tribute to the... Yeah, I mean, I'm just guessing here. Well, anyway, as a result of those bananas that's the bananas with Harambe on, the university's kind of group that represents people of color were outraged about this. They were outraged at this open racism on campus. And again, I want to stress the Harambe meme's not racist. Bananas with Harambe written on them isn't racist. They're just bananas with a word written on them. And contextually, the word means for the dead gorilla. It's a tribute. It's like putting flowers on a grave, you know? Soon to be deemed racist, probably. But the group of black student activists issued a series of demands to the university in light of what was deemed the racist banana incident. And it was a long list of demands. And the university has agreed to 3 of these demands. Okay? And I'm going to tell you what these demands are, and try not to get angry or upset here, Sam. But basically, the canteen, what is known as the bridge, it's like a cafeteria where they serve food. For the remainder of the semester, white people aren't allowed in it.
Seems not racist.
The university's agreed to this. Okay? So, racial segregation back on the menu. Turns out that's all right, mate. Turns out that is fine. A bit of racial segregation. That's what we want, isn't it? That's what Martin Luther King really wanted, wasn't it? When he said, I have a dream, he said, I have a dream that my black children will never associate with white children. I'm just paraphrasing. I think this is what he said, right? He said, my black children will never associate with white children because white children are the devil and white people are racist and we should just keep ourselves to ourselves. Rest in peace, Martin Luther King, right? You know, or wait, was it the civil rights movement was to stop racial segregation? It's so long ago, Sam.
It's
I can't
all foggy
remember.
now, man.
Yeah, it's all foggy. I can't remember it. So the university has endorsed racial segregation, with white people not being allowed into the cafeteria for the remainder of the semester. Then, because of the trauma caused by the bananas with Harambe written on them, all people of color get extensions on deadlines for essays and should not be penalized for their already scheduled finals after this incident.
How can this be real, mate?
This is real. Now, I mean, that in itself is absurd.
Yeah, that's outrageous.
Right? Then, they want a separate investigation team based out of the university, set up to investigate cases of racism and discrimination brought against the institution of the American university. They already have an investigation group, but this activists group has deemed that it's not sufficient, so they want a group external to the American university, but funded by the American university, to investigate the American university and how they deal with racism and discrimination. And the American university has agreed. This is why we use the phrase cuckold. Okay? Now, you might think, well, this must just be a couple of wacky upper tier management that have agreed to this gibberish and nonsense. Well, no, actually, it turned out these demands were approved by more than 100 faculty and staff who all signed what they called a solidarity agreement.
This is so mental.
Yep. And the signatories said, we are appalled by the racist and white supremacist hate crime of hanging bananas with the word Harambe on around campus, and therefore they are making it known that they are committed to continuing to engage the systemic roots and current effects of racism on campus. And they also said this is only a small step towards prioritizing black students and other students of color.
What? Why is anyone being prioritized?
Well, you know,
it's fair for all.
Nah, it's come on. So they also said here that the head of this group said this is just the minimum. These are reasonable demands. We are interested in building the kind of community which we are all proud of. So there you have it. That's the American University in Washington, basically saying, turns out bananas are now racist, regardless of context. We're not talking about somebody throwing a frozen banana at a black football player. We're talking about a man or a woman writing Harambe on a banana and leaving it somewhere for Harambe to find, presumably.
When he comes back from the grid.
When he comes back from the dead, which he will.
Eliminate all thoughts.
Right? But it's mad, isn't it? It's so bonkers that's really a thing. So yeah, racism, that's racist. I had some other things that are racist, obviously. Let me just find it. Where is this? This was interesting. Yale. So again, just to show you, this was the thread of thought, right? Just to show you how absolutely fucked up the average American university is. Like we didn't know that already. Check this out. The dean of a Yale University college called Pearson said some pretty fucking wild things, and is being defended and championed for saying them, because remember the rule: you can't be racist against white people. You can't. It's just not possible, apparently. So this blew my mind. I'll basically, this is the dean. Hang on, let me find it.
It's behind a paywall for me.
Oh yeah, I think I got a login for it, so let me just I've just got to bring it up though. Because I can link you to another thing if you need to.
Yeah, I could do.
All right, hold on. Well, yeah, I'll let you do it, right? Just type in June Chu. It got reported in, it was definitely in the Washington Examiner, I think, because that's like the Washington's kind of right-leaning publication. But anyway, so June Chu, right, Dean of Yale University, Residential College, Pearson. And they found out, right, like a bunch of stuff that she's been saying online. I'm going to read you some of this stuff. So somebody found her Yelp account, all right? And she says some just ridiculous things about the businesses and restaurants and stuff nearby where she goes to. And check this. Here's her thoughts on a Japanese restaurant, right? Now, keep in mind, this is somebody with a PhD in social psychology, and also has held like numerous prominent board positions and stuff. This is a review about a Japanese restaurant. To put it quite simply, if you are white trash, this is the perfect night out for you. This establishment is definitely not authentic by any stretch of any imagination, and perfect for those low-class folks who believe this is a real night out. Right? So it didn't end there. She likes to go to Japanese restaurants, and basically what she does is she criticizes Japanese cuisine as being somehow watered down for the benefit of white people. That's like one of her pet peeves. So in another Japanese restaurant, she did a review. I guess if you were a white person who has no clue what mochi is, this would be fine for you. And then she did a review of a local cinema, and said, I love the small theatre feel without sketchy crowds, despite it being in New Haven. The seats were roomy and comfortable. Now, if you look at where New Haven is, you're not going to find many sketchy crowds there at all. It's quite a nice area. But again, those sketchy white people crowds, right? And then she said that a theatre was staffed by barely educated morons, and had a big whine about a desk attendant at a local gym saying it's okay if you lose your job, you could probably still be employed by McDonald's.
Absolute rat human hybrid, of course. Literally just complaining everywhere she goes.
Now, it seems to me that, again, just want to float this. If you were referring to large numbers of people as white trash, black trash, you'd probably be deemed to be a bit of a racist, right? But
I think so, man.
But no, apparently not, because white trash is not a protected term. It's perfectly fine. And this is the same campus, right, that they had student protests over the fact that people were saying, we're going to wear these Halloween costumes. This was one of the campuses that sparked that war against Halloween that we saw last year. But the dean is going around calling people white trash, and anybody who's white is an idiot. And that's all deemed fine. Anyway, she issued an apology, and that's fine. And that's it. There'll be no more. No one's going to try and take a job away. That's just it. It's okay, right? So that's the kind of, white-hating person that you have to deal with on the average American campus these days. And it's just fucking crazy that is a thing. I don't get why that's all right to say that, but it's not all right to say the reverse, the inverse, or target another group. So I thought this was interesting as well. Did you see this whole men are trash thing?
No.
Okay, this definitely.
Though.
Yeah, right. Men are trash. I think it was let me just get the right. So basically there was this there was this kind of weird thing that was going on. Somebody designed a t-shirt called Men Are Trash. Yeah, that's what it said on it. Men are trash. And this prompted loads of people to use the hashtag. And, you'll see all this other stuff. It was like all the blogs were coming out at the time. Men are trash, men are trash. And loads of people were like obviously complaining, saying, why is it okay to say men are trash? Why is that all right? Right? They even push back, saying, like, how dare you even point out? How dare you even point this out? That this might be sexist against men or misandrist, right? How dare you point it out? So you'll see blogs like this one here I'm linking you to. Snowflake men need to get over the men are trash phrase already. And no, it doesn't mean that all men are trash. I'll certainly remember that next time we want to, if women are cunts. Not all women. So don't be offended. It's not going to work. And it says, and if you aren't trash, don't be offended. That's what we've been saying. That's what we've been saying on the sensible side of the argument for years. If it doesn't apply to you, don't be offended. Just move on. Right? And then read this. You can't say women are trash and think it's the same thing, because men subjugate women on the daily, and putting them down further contributes to misogyny. Mentally ill, of course. Liberals, ladies and gentlemen. Fucked in the feed. The information, it starts out as being clear and distinct, and by the time it goes into their feed, it gets warped with all their fucked up mentally ill daddy issues, and before you know it, you can say things unironically like, well, saying women are trash isn't the same thing as saying men are trash. One is wrong and one is perfectly fine. So here's the funny thing. There was somebody actually went and made women are trash. Okay? In fact, they didn't just stop there. Somebody went and made black women are trash. And I think this is because it was a black... Yeah, I think it was because It was a black woman who had made the Men Are Trash thing originally. So, black women are trash, and Teespring let it happen. So I'm going to show you this. Good old Huffington Post. You can rely on them to cover the important news. Don't know why I'm criticizing. I'm covering the same shit. I'm just as bad. I need to rethink and reevaluate my life too.
Yeah, but at least we're just two messes on the internet. This is an entire company, mate.
Amen to that, right? So look at this, right? So they use the same phrase, right? Black women are trash, and you can see the thing there, and it's actually got a link to the original black man's. Oh, it was created by a black man as well, by the way. So,
right.
So just to put that out there, it wasn't like some white supremacist or whatever. Although he probably will be accused of being a white supremacist now. So these got pulled. These were deemed not okay.
Unreasonable.
So Teespring apologized, saying the content violated their policies.
The other one didn't like.
Yeah. I think what people said was bringing race to it was a step too far. That was basically the argument. That men are trash would have been fine, and women are trash is fine. But when you bring race to it, it's gone too far.
Yeah.
Now, I've just got to say, I think it's all retarded. Can I just be on record and just say that now? That it's all retarded. And anybody who bought a Black Women Are Trash t-shirt, when do you think you're going to get to wear that? In what social setting, apart from a Klan rally, would that be okay to wear? Obviously, it's ridiculous. Yeah, men are trash, ridiculous. But Black women are trash. Yeah, definitely ridiculous, and with an extra pitch. The fact that a black man made it kind of academic, really, just worth putting out there. But anyway, so this is the interesting thing. They had like a little website going on, like our Facebook page.
Yeah.
Right? And Facebook, after enough complaints,
shut it down.
They did. They shut it down, Sam. They shut down Men Are Trash, saying it was hate speech.
Nice.
Right? So in other words, and again, I think this whole thing's stupid. Like, honestly, if you want to be a misandrist, I can't. Maybe you got burnt a bunch of times. Look, I don't want to censor anybody, all right? But when you establish a set of rules for one side of the equation, it's got to be equal on both sides. So maybe these people now will be like, well, yeah, actually, we should get on board with it. But look, Men Are Trash, and Facebook shut it down, and they were fucking complaining about it, saying it was ridiculous. But Facebook shut it down because it's hate speech. And it's hilarious because I keep saying how the left is trying to appropriate the phrase snowflakes. No, nobody's doing it because their feelings are hurt. They're doing it because it's like, well, we can't say this shit, so we're going to use the rules you've used for years to censor us against you and see how you like it. And then all these fucking feminists go, look at all the snowflakes. It doesn't work when you do it, right? It doesn't work that way. Because we're not really offended. We're just being consistent. So it turns out that true to Facebook's guidelines, so Facebook are doing a better job at this than Twitter, by the way, who unequally enforce this shit. That they say hate speech is anything that directly attacks people based on their race, their ethnicity, their national origin, religious affiliation, sexual orientation, sex, gender, or gender identity. I mean, as if those things just aren't all the same, but whatever. Or serious disabilities or diseases. So obviously within that sex, gender, or gender identity, being male, that's in there. And being a man, maybe I don't want to be called trash. So there you go. And people have also been highlighting stuff. White people suck. and they're getting shut down. So this is what I said all along. The rules that you use to censor your opponents will eventually be used to censor you, and the only sensible policy is one of non-censorship. That's the only way you're ever going to get, your fucking, be allowed to have, your say, and just make your message more potent and more sensible than your opponents, and you will prevail. You don't need censorship. You just need good ideas, good articulation, and a platform to voice it from. That's all you need. So I thought that was unbelievable. Just the whole thing, just a fucking mess. Classic racism. I think there was an article recently. I got it on my laptop, but I don't want to have to leave the chair. Let me see if I can find it so we can wrap up this little segment. I want to find it. There was an article recently, and it was like, no, you can't be racist towards white people.
So,
and it was just the other day. I mean, you do read, you do read this pretty much all the time. But yeah, I'll have to find it. I'll put it out on the next show. It's just as absurd. But yeah, it is on the laptop. I mean, I could just get up and make you edit it. Right, so this is the article on Affinity magazine. And again, it's just a mind-blowing piece of racist writing. You remember when I read that article and it was like, black women shouldn't have sex with white guys or pair up with white guys.
Yeah.
As you're basically feeding into a history of colonization and white oppression. It's just like, what? Why are we pushing this racial segregation line? How's it going to help anything? Please stop. So, look at this. Why black people are allowed to be anti-white. Right? We've all heard it before. The whole "you're racist against white people" argument, it usually follows up with someone explaining social stratification theory and how reverse racism is not a thing. I mean, it isn't a thing. It's just racism.
It's just racism, yeah.
Yeah, it's just racism, plain and simple. To anyone with common sense, that would be a valid argument. But for some strange reason, white folk enjoy debunking sociology and actual science, by the way. So immediately you can see how fucked in the feed Rihanna Martin's going to be, because she believes sociology is a science. It's not a science. Anybody who treats sociology like a hard science needs to be treated with utter contempt and skepticism. Nothing they say is going to be of worth. Sociology is not a science. It is not a science. It is theory, okay, that you can back up with surveys and data, but ultimately you can never truly know people's motivations, people's minds. I say this as a former sociology student, and this is one of the main reasons why the social justice movement is so irreparably fucked. They think sociology is a science. They think it's up there with physics and chemistry and biology and mathematics and all of this stuff that you need that is actually just, it's there, it's real, right? And sure, there's like theoretical physics and stuff like that. Yeah, I get that, okay? But sociology is not in the same league as that. It's a bunch of people applying their views of life, their theories to life, okay? So, it's like if you look at something through the lens of feminist theory, you'll see the patriarchy. You'll see male oppression, male dominance. You can look at anything through a feminist prism and break it down, and sexism will be the answer. That's how sociology works. That is not a science. That is not how science works. Science isn't whatever the theory is going in, is whatever the answer coming out. If science operated that way, we'd all be fucked. We'd be dead. The human race would have died out. Sociology is not a science. She brings up the whole thing about the Irish people and indentured servitude being different to the slave trade. I mean, again, I'm not sure why she's bringing this up. I don't get how it's relevant to the argument. And then she says, if we go back in history, white people weren't taken away from their country by black people who were too lazy to work. They weren't forced to work under deplorable conditions, labeled as not human, dehumanized, publicly lynched, bombed on their own country's soil, or unlawfully experimented on by the government. Well, no, not in that period of history, but throughout many periods of history, yeah, they were. They just were. And again, you don't need to invoke the Irish thing and talk about indentured servitude. You only need to just look at the word slave and how it comes from Slav, the Slavs who were white. You only need to read about the Barbary slave trade. You know, I don't know what to tell you. Every people, every group of people that's been subjugated has probably been sold into slavery. I see this movement now that we want to tear down statues from time periods that are offensive to our sensibilities, or change names of things and pretend the history didn't happen. Well, I'll point you in a direction of one monument to slavery, and maybe, I don't know, do you want to tear this down? The pyramids, guys. The pyramids built by slaves in appalling conditions, and yet very often held up by black scholars as that period of history, ancient Egyptian history, being a period of black history that was actually whitewashed. And apparently, I mean, I've listened to black scholars from that time period say the reason the Sphinx's nose has eroded is because white people deliberately destroyed it because it showed a classic flat black African nose. And that there's an argument to say white people, because obviously they do depict the Egyptians as white in a lot of things, which, you know, you watch even in modern television, like what's that one where they go through the time portal? You know, Stargate.
Oh, Stargate, yeah.
Yeah. Well, all the Egyptian gods are white, right? Which is a bit weird because it's Africa and that part of the world. They probably were black, right? But apparently, you know, this is absolutely true. I mean, people can go and Google this. People have brought up all these photos of all these statues where all the noses are missing, like the Sphinx's is. And they say, well, that's because, you know, white people deliberately destroyed the nose so people wouldn't realize that they were black. Classically African black. So that begs the question then, if we agree that the Egyptian culture is one of the high points of human civilization throughout the ages, and that it was indeed a black culture, well, they enslaved people and put them in appalling conditions, and basically the monuments to the pharaohs, the pyramids, and all buildings that were built around that time are all built by slaves. So we should want to tear that down. We should want to, or is it once you get past a certain period, it's okay? Is there a statute of limitations on when it's all right, when it isn't? The whole thing's ridiculous. I mean, I don't think anybody would ever say like, oh yeah, you know, slavery, good thing, yeah. It's not, right? I mean, we haven't beat the fucking problem of slavery, by the way. I don't want to burst anyone's bubble. There's people on planet Earth right now living in slavery. It's not over. And it's disgusting. And I can't think of a more grotesque perversion of what humanity is kind of meant to be about than slavery. But again, I think when you tunnel in on the one particular part of history that maybe affects you because of the linearity, I think you are prone then to make very wild sweeping hyperbole. And the idea that anybody owns a special type of victimhood in this day and age, when it's not directly happening to you now, I think is a bit weird. And I can't approve of that message. But anyway, so she talks a lot about slavery, right? And she basically says, right, just read some of the reasons why it's okay to say you hate white people now. Okay. She says, white supremacists get on social media to show receipts of activists on Black Twitter being sarcastic, exclaiming white hatred, when really insults directed towards whites wouldn't affect their social status or privilege. I mean, I'd argue insulting anybody doesn't affect your social status.
True.
If that was the case, I mean, Donald Trump wouldn't be president, would he?
Oh, he just lost all his money, mate. People just kept making fun of me on the internet.
Yeah. So she goes on to add, black people are exclaiming our hatred for whites. And again, not all black people, Brianna. In fact, the majority of black people are racist. I mean, I like it when people elect themselves to the position of spokesperson. Hey, I am the same as you. I now speak for you. You know? It's like you're meeting an alien race and you declare yourself leader. It's mad. Black people are exclaiming our hatred for whites when it was them who declared we weren't human. Again, not all white people. Just as interesting statistic, the American slave trade, horrifying, horrible, dark period of human history, like any period of slavery or oppression. I mean, there's not really a lot to like about human history, honestly. If you go through it, there's some good bits, but a lot of it is built on blood and war and horror, just horrible things, yeah. But in this, at the point in history she's talking about, it was something ridiculous, like 6% of Americans in the South held slaves, and I think that's a very emboldened estimate. It's certainly no more than 8. It varies depending on who you read. But when you factor in the North, which wasn't as reliant on slaves to their economy, it's something like 1.6%, which again is still a horrifying number, and it should never have happened. No one's saying that, but no one's saying otherwise. But again, imagine, okay, well, my family never we had nothing to do with it. We had nothing. We were never complicit in any of that. Historically, never. That's the majority of Americans. We've never been complicit in slavery. Why are you saying I'm a scumbag? Why am I a scumbag? I've not done anything. My ancestors didn't do anything. What about the whites whose relatives were abolitionists? What about the white people whose families fought to free the slaves in the American Civil War? Do we not get a pass now? Can we not be friends? Apparently not. Black people are exclaiming our hatred for whites when it was them who declared we weren't human. We are exclaiming our hatred for whites when they declared that we were only 3/5 the value of a white man. They put us into zoos with monkeys and chimpanzees, saying we were animals. I don't know when that happened. Is that?
Yeah, I don't know if that happened either.
Seems a bit weird.
Didn't bring it up because
I mean, on the one hand, I mean, maybe, but I don't think it was widespread or anything, right? Yeah, there's still some fucked up shit. Like, Jesse Owens having a race against horses and shit, right? Like, I mean, obviously it's fucking crazy. I mean, Jesse Owens himself said that when he went to Nazi Germany, he said he didn't get treated poorly out there at all. And in fact, he didn't experience racism in Germany. He only got it when he came back to America. So, I mean, maybe there's something to this. But again, it's just this idea that it's okay to hate all white people. And people keep propagating this, and it's like, guys, we got to move past this shit, like, for real. Or if we keep doing it to each other, if we keep talking about this shit and drawing up these divisions, like, the wound's never going to heal, man. Like, this is going to be something we're never going to lick, and we got to get past this, And just check out the last paragraph. You have the privilege of saying 2 wrongs don't make a right because you've never been targeted by centuries of systemic racism. No, it's not a privilege to say 2 wrongs don't make a right. It's just the truth, isn't it? It's just the universal truth that, why do you need to be racist to another group to reclaim The fact that you were the victims of racism. I think that in itself doesn't make any sense to me, right? You're a couple of 100 years too late, so stop making yourself the victim. We have plenty of other things to worry about. Mad, isn't it?
I love when they finish an article off with a good GIF as well, mate. Classic.
Yeah, I do.
Journal.
That's when you're really reading, high level journalism. When GIFs or GIFs, depending on which side of that argument you're on. But yeah, it's mad, isn't it? And it's just like, guys, seriously, this is honest. I say it every week. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. It has got to. It's time to stop. It has got to. It's nonsense. If you hate anybody based on the color of their skin, you're a racist. And if you do that, you might want to take a long, hard fucking look at yourself and revise how you think about the world. It's that simple. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. There's no pass on this. There's no pass on hating other people. There's no context where that's acceptable. You just gotta stop doing it, right? Anyway, I saw something pretty fucked up, and I can't tell if I'm fucked up for thinking it's fucked up. So I thought it irrationally made my blood boil. It made my piss boil. It didn't make my blood boil. It made my piss boil, right? And I don't know if you've heard about these things, Sam, and I just want to run it by you because I think this is really pathetic, and just an irrational hatred that this is a real thing. And it shouldn't bother me, but it bothers me. All right?
Right.
Emotional support animals. Have you heard of these?
No.
Right. So I saw a news story, right? And it was a tweet had gone viral, and some guy was saying, right, this is the last fucking straw. And he was sat next to like a tortoise, and it was an emotional support tortoise for someone who was scared of flying. Like, what animal? Who could be less supportive than a fucking tortoise? What do they do? Oh, thank you, Timmy. I am no longer scared of turbulence. Right? So this is how I found out about emotional support animals. Didn't know they were a thing. But look, right? There have been online reports of people bringing emotional support dogs, pigs, chickens, and even kangaroos on board. Like,
how is that allowed, mate? A kangaroo will rip you to motherfucking shreds, mate.
Kangaroos are unbelievably
kangaroo will fuck your face without a second thought, mate.
Let me just find a picture of that unbelievably hench kangaroo, because mate, it's just unreal. It's like it's a Photoshop, right? I'm going to just find you now some pictures of some jacked kangaroo.
Kangaroo.
Yeah, right. Here's one. Look at this cunt. If this cunt was stood outside the door of a bar, not tonight. I'm going to go home, actually. If that was the doorman.
Batista, mate, except with all the shaft, like.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, he probably's got a welt as well, like. Right? Let me find this other one. There was this fucking... There's a famous picture of it where, like, this one, he's just shredded, like, just not an ounce. Yeah. Just not an ounce of fucking fat on him, like. So hang on, let me find it. Hey, look at this one having a flex. Like, he's actually flexing. It's ridiculous. It's so insane.
Mailing on his bitches, mate.
Look at that. He's having a flex. Look at that bicep just popping, like. What is going on there? Yeah, it is. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And then look at this one. I think this is one just on all fours. Like, and this one's called Roger the Muscle-Bound Kangaroo. Like, he's even known for being muscular.
Yeah, he's even known for being huge.
He's known for being muscular among an animal that's known for being muscular. Look at that.
Fucking hell.
So anyway... Right, you're right. Emotional, yeah. Windmilling. Yeah.
Drop kick his face off, mate.
You're not drop kicking.
Lose his lips.
You're not drop kicking now, mate. You bombing him, sure. I could, if you can get it there.
What, Batista bomb a kangaroo?
Yeah, I
That
could
would be
see that.
unreasonable as fuck.
I can see that.
Dropping a kangaroo on his neck.
It would give a fuck about
Oh,
you.
mate, if I'm fighting a kangaroo, I'm fighting to beat him to death. Like, I know, yeah, he's gonna try and eat my organs, mate. I ain't fucking about.
So anyway, right, like, last month, we wrote about a passenger who took emotional support animals to a new level, bringing on board her giant dog and lying on the floor with him. And there's a picture of that, right? And I just looked at this picture, Sam. I looked at this picture and I didn't think, oh, it's good. It's good that this woman isn't scared of the planes, because I'm scared of the planes. I'm scared of the flying, you know? I just looked at that and I thought, what an entitled fucking gas.
I know.
What an entitled fucking gash.
Have you looked, by the way, that dog's got a little jumper on, mate. Have you seen the sleeve?
Yeah, he's
got a jumper on, mate.
I just looked at that and I just thought, grow the fuck up. Grow the fuck up.
Especially to read the part about the dog as well. That the whole flight, the dog was like being aggressive towards the crew and barking at them and interfering with what they were doing down the aisle.
Yeah,
so the dog was like, oh, well, they're trying to serve food to everyone, like, sound. Guess I have to deal with this.
No, but it's like, right, like, flights are shit enough, man. I'm cooped, right? If you're flying coach, yeah, I'm cooped up. I'm sat next to a stranger. I'm inhaling germ-filled recycled air, people's farts, because no one gives a fuck because they know you can't hear them because of the background noise of the plane. So motherfuckers just be dropping bombs left, right, and centre. You know. You know I'm right. How many times have you just smelt a massive stale fart, just waft, just like Casper the Friendly Shit, just fucking lost in an aeroplane, just wandering around. Have you smelt me yet? Like, oh, fuck, come on, mate. Give it a rest. You were over here 5 minutes ago. Right? You're just dealing with all this shit. Then, yeah, you know, like, a kid. I don't want kids on a fucking plane. You made the choice. You fucking decided to breed. Now you deal with it.
Check him in under the plane.
There should be a specific airline for people with kids. I'm serious.
Not a bad idea, that, man.
This isn't a bit. This isn't a goof. Right? Because I tell you, if that doctor who got his face smashed in, because he made the mistake of flying United. If he'd been the dad of some kid that was screaming, I'd have loved it.
Worth.
I'd have been
deserved.
I'd have been giving him one of them on the way out.
Kidney dig as he's leaving. Yeah. As he's passed out, just smashing in spleen. Reasonable.
Because it's not the baby's fault. It's not the baby's fault. For starters, it doesn't know what fucking planet it's on. It's a baby. It doesn't know what's going on. It just knows whether it's hungry or in pain or wants to have a shit. I mean, that's about it, really. Right? I mean, and even the last one can come as a bit of a surprise, can't it? It can't articulate anything beyond making noise. Like, it doesn't understand language. It can't control itself. You know, it's a baby. It's a fucking baby. And guess what babies don't understand? They don't understand loud noises. Yeah, they definitely don't understand flight, do they? They don't understand loud noises. They don't like loud noises, especially loud noises they cannot contextualize. Why is it happening? They definitely don't like the change of pressure in their super sensitive ears. I mean, I'm amazed because, you know, you see these super young babies on a flight because they got them soft heads. Yeah. I'm amazed their head just doesn't pop in. With
implode their brain.
Yeah, like, you know, and then they're crying the entire time because they don't know what's
getting
going on.
Vacuum sealed, that's why.
Yeah. It's loud, their dome's about to cave in. Their fucking ears are fucking filled with air. They can't get out. So they just cry. So I'd like it categorised as an act of child abuse if you take a kid on a plane, and therefore they should only be able to go on short flights, and there should be a special airline so all these cunts with kids can just fucking go on the same cunt with kids airline. Yeah, and just all fucking have to deal with their own shit. Because this is the thing as well. When you're a parent, the sound of your baby crying, it don't bother you, does it? It don't bother you because it's your baby. You're like, oh, come on, right? And like, okay, now you're making noise to stop your baby making
double noise.
Yeah, do you understand? I'm triggered as fuck over here. Like, I was looking forward to getting some sleep on this 8-hour flight. I've been up all night. I've just gone through airport security. My arse is this wide, because I've been finger fucked by security because, they swabbed my hands or something and they weren't clean enough. Whatever new rules been brought in that fucking day. I had a page you didn't wash your hands after having a piss. Yeah, mine comes out the end, not the sides. Never mind, sir. It's time to have your arsehole fingered. Welcome to yeah, on with the gloves, right? So I'm triggered as fuck. I don't want to have to listen to your baby cry for 6 hours. I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck. And what, I love Louis C.K. I think he's one of the best, living comedians at the moment. I won't get into his recent special. I thought that was kind of weak, actually.
Yeah.
Certainly wasn't as
pretty shit.
I wouldn't say shit. Shit's too strong a word. It's not
in comparison to his other. It was a major drop off.
Yeah. It's a drop off. It's a drop off. I mean, he fucked up the opening when he was just talking about abortions, and it was just like the jokes weren't jokes.
Yeah.
He just didn't seem to have a plan. It was like he wanted to set the tone. Like, yeah, we're going to talk about some controversial stuff, but he didn't really have any controversial jokes. And it's like, I think you should start strong and then meander. That's how but whatever. Anyway, so didn't think his special was all that great, but he did a great bit before where he was talking about, like on a plane, like, and when you see a kid crying, he's like, look, and some businessman turns around and he goes, so what do you want them to do? Like, just
kill it. Is this bothering you? There you go.
Yeah. And, but here's the thing, like, I fuck Louis C.K. I can't agree with him on that. I can't agree with him because I don't see why the fuck your life choices should fucking inconvenience me or annoy me or irritate me. Keep that shit to yourself. Like, I'm not talking about kids. I'm talking about babies. Obviously, when you're kids and you can look, here's an iPad, watch the fucking Lion King, shut the fuck up. That's all fine, right? That's fine. Bring your kids. And sometimes kids will cry or be obnoxious, but whatever. But a baby, it's just no one's having a good time on that flight. And we've all been there. We've all looked and gone, oh, no, I'm 2 seats ahead of the baby. Fuck yeah. This is it. I'm stuck listening to that. So I fucking hate babies on a plane. But I can only think of one thing that'd be worse. And that is a giant dog barking and raging at everyone the entire time.
I'd be so chimped,
mate. He'd get a right hook, like.
Yeah, mate. If that dog comes at me, I'm straight punting that motherfucker, mate.
But listen,
if I'm stuck in a tin can in the sky with an aggressive beast, and it's me or him, he's dying today, mate.
Yeah, it's just what's he called? Clifford, right? Clifford the big red dog is just getting a fucking right hook. Like, I just can't do it.
Bang!
Go to sleep, like, fuck off, like, I've had enough, like, it's a plane, I shouldn't be getting chased by a dog on a fucking plane. Do you know what I mean? There's going to be a postman coming on, can I get a fucking break? It's mental. Emotional support dogs, grow up. Grow the fuck up and deal with your emotions. Now check this door. Check down here. Go to the comments on this, right? I'm with Nick, by the way. Nick, emotional support animals provide a very needed. Stop right there. If you need an emotional support animal to fly, you shouldn't be able to fly. I like the cut of your jib, Nick. Basically, we have to ban all emotional support animals and only allow trained and certified dogs for the blind. Don't have a problem with dogs for the blind, by the way. Even if it was a giant dog that was barking all the time, you're fucking blind. You got to have it. Fair enough. No allergy dogs, no emotional support dogs, no PTSD dogs. right? But then there's someone down there making an argument going, what about people who've been in the war? And I know people who've come back from the military and their emotional support dog. Come on, there's no fucking way someone from the military is going to argue that they need a dog to lick their hand while they're in a plane.
Yeah, there must be something else to support you for, a few hours. Get some music or a film or something to distract yourself with. Does it have to be a dog?
Yeah, but right, just look at this. This is a fake comment. There's no way this is real. I'm calling this didn't happen. James E. I have PTSD and I use an emotional support dog. It helps me tremendously. But thank you for allowing me to fight for your right to post this comment. I mean, that's not what you're doing in Iraq and Afghanistan. You're definitely not fighting for the right for people to post comments on websites, are you?
Yeah. Lucky those
Take that,
dictators were
Taliban.
just about to take away Reddit from us and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Take that, Taliban. Right, we've got the comment section back in the Huffington Post now. Good job, everyone. Good job. Right, typical of what us veterans deal with on a daily basis. Said no veteran ever, by the way. What is needed is a much more detailed left and right lateral limit to what an emotional support dog is and what authorises a patient to have one. The people that abuse this are the ones that are truly hurting us veterans who realise, why is it all about veterans? You can get PTSD. You don't have to go to fucking war to get PTSD. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you get it off like Twitter arguments or whatever, like some of these fucking idiots. But come on, there's no way. So fuck emotional support animals straight up. Are you with me on this then?
Yeah.
You're definitely agreeing
The thing
with
is, though, right? Do you know what was weird? The tortoise seems more reasonable. Like, if you're paying for the extra seat and you're going to bring an animal that isn't going to fuck with my life, I'm probably not asked. Like,
Yeah,
a
I don't
tortoise
think
ain't
I'd-
going to do much.
Like, yeah, exactly. I don't think I'd mind sitting next to a tortoise, honestly.
Yeah, it strokes a little head. Tortoise seems alright. You wouldn't, you know what I mean? What's the tortoise going to do if he gets chimped? He's just going to go in a shell, isn't he?
Well, I mean, it depends. Like, didn't give you a nasty nip, like.
Well, he'd be getting a fucking right hook in that shell, then, wouldn't he, mate? I'll be jamming forks in there. Fucking little cunt.
Take this, Cooper. So emotional. I didn't even know they were a thing, and I just despair for fucking. Honestly, I just despair for all of us. Like, at what point was that signed off on as well? Where airlines were like, "Yeah, that's going to be it. Here you go, lady. You and your giant dog can have an entire row yourself because you get a little bit scared of having a plane. Why can't you just have a fucking Valium and a drink like every other cunt?
Yeah, exactly.
Just nobody likes it. Nobody likes flying because we all know that it's not that a plane crash is likely. It's just that if it happened, it's got to be one of the shittest ways to go out, right?
Because there's just no possible salvation, is it?
It's not even that,
And
mate.
you have no control.
Right, just imagine, all right, being stuck. This is Kevin speaking. We're going down. Brace yourself for an emergency landing. And the plane's jostling. You can see bits flying off outside, air swirling around. Right, people are screaming. They think they're dead because they are dead. But it's gonna take you minutes to hit the ground. You sat in a fucking room, basically, full of total strangers, all of them hysterical, knowing they're going to die. You don't even get a bit of private dignity.
I'd definitely jump out the plane if it was going down, but
How are you doing that?
opening the motherfucking door and living my movie and saying fuck you to the rest of the world, mate. How do you think I'm doing it? I'm getting sucked out the front door, mate.
Yeah. Right, well, might have a chance.
Please.
Yeah, we might have a chance of making this. And because I'm so fucking worried, I'm going to throw myself out of the plane, popping the fucking emergency door so you all die with no oxygen.
Yeah, I'm not asked.
Why
I'll be
would you-
searching for something I can form into a parachute and taking my 1 in a million chance out the door, mate.
What's
better
better in a
odds?
parachute?
I don't know. Rip through the suitcase, look for a big blanket. Who knows, mate? I'm diving. I'm taking my odds.
Cartoons did you watch as
I
a
don't
kid?
care,
mate?
mate. Sitting in the plane is certain death. If you jump out with a big blanket, I reckon a solid 1 in a million you live.
It's not fucking Wile E. Coyote.
knows, man?
Just like 40,000 feet.
Don't worry, sliding in on a scarf. Whee!
Yeah, don't worry, guys. I've got someone packed the sheets.
Gliding down with an umbrella, mate. Street Mary Poppins on these bitches.
Yeah. You think as well you're going to be able to hold on to that?
Yeah, like, 4,000 miles an hour.
It's fucking stay in the water. That would shatter every ball in my body on impact.
If for the trash cans, I saw this in a Buster Keaton film.
Yeah, it's unreal, mate. You're so mentally ill. Like. So here's what you would do. You would just go down like the rest of us. You would just be there, and you just go down like the rest of us, mate. You just go. That's it. And you'd have to hold hands with the person next to you.
Would I fuck? I definitely wouldn't. I'd do something, mate. I know I would. I'd do something to try and do something. Because, like you said, I'd rather kill myself in a cool way, but like than go down like that. I'd rather have my last few minutes in the world me skydiving out the fucking sky, mate.
How are you gonna kill yourself on a plane?
Oh no, mate! Throw myself into an engine.
I want to know, mate.
Just straight suck me through an engine.
Again, no. You can't. Right, let's be real.
I can't open the doors.
Yeah, you're not getting off the plane. Let's just have some fucking ground rules.
Well, you can't really do much then. Why can't I get off the plane?
Mate, because
there's 3 doors, mate. I only got to open them, boy.
Mate, they don't just open. Can you imagine how dangerous flight would be if any old arsehole could just walk up to a door and open that?
Yeah, but if we're going down, isn't that about the right time to open the doors? Like, if it's any time to open them.
I guarantee, like, you can't. No, you're just not going to open the door. So how the fuck are you going to kill yourself? What are you going to do?
I don't know. I'd probably rush the fucking cockpit or something. Because, like, I've heard stories about, like, they keep shit in there, but, like emergency stuff. So maybe they've got a parachute or some shit. I don't know, mate.
There's no parachutes on a commercial plane.
Might be.
Because, mate, are no pilots. They're not.
They wouldn't tell you, would they?
Yeah, Richard, don't get any ideas. No parachutes.
Well, I just run to the cockpit.
Yeah, meanwhile, they're just there. Why does any pilot go down with the plane then?
They don't, mate. It's all fake. They're replaced with lookalikes.
Yeah, brilliant. All right,
the protection program, mate.
You've gone mental. Right, okay.
No, but I don't know. I'd probably just rush to the cockpit and say some mental shit so the black box could pick it up. Just straight screaming like, I don't know, some mad conspiracies.
So the pilot, that's basically your plan. Is
to chimp out the pilot.
It's to massively inconvenience the pilot who's trying to save everyone's life.
Yeah. Fuck it, mate. I ain't going down boring. I gotta do something. Imagine on the news, but they could just hear me screaming, "Whee!" in the background as we're going down. At least I got my last few seconds, mate.
World star!
Got him! We're going down! These nuts!
Yeah, you're out of control, unfortunately.
I don't know, I just feel like if a plane's going down, you gotta do something. Don't just sit there and take the digs to the head.
Yeah, alright.
Rush the door.
You've convinced me.
Plane's going down, rush the door.
Well, guys, if you are in a plane crash, just rush the door.
Look for a big blanket and rush the door.
Live your motherfucking movie. Right? But if your movie involved you dying in a plane crash.
In a skydive with no parachute.
Right, so should we end on one more story then?
Can do, yeah.
Should we wrap it up? I think we've hit 2 hours, haven't we?
Yeah, about.
We've done our 2 hours. We've done our time, so. Again, another story I was going to kind of save for I Hate It Here, but it's kind of too good to leave on the vine. It's just ridiculous. And again, it just goes to show, right? Because I hear a lot about this patriarchy. And it's interesting, actually, because sociology, I'm told, is a science, right? So you're gonna like this. Hang on, let me find
It's a
it.
study to prove the patriarchy isn't real.
Oh no. But when I was at university, I'm just trying to remember which sociologist came up with the theory. I probably got it on my bookshelf from there. But anyway, the bottom line was in gender biases as they relate to crime statistics. There's something called the chivalry thesis, which basically says women will always be treated more leniently in the judicial system. So when a woman commits a crime that, let's say, for example, a violent, horrible crime, they will always be sentenced lesser than men for committing the exact same crime, which I think is really interesting in a patriarchy, right? Because you would think if there was a society that was structured by men for men to consistently work in the favor of men, and most judges are men and most police officers are men, and the entire judicial system is therefore built by men for men, why wouldn't we sentence ourselves to lesser time in prison? Why wouldn't we say, yep, you killed that cunt, but we had it coming because we're men? Hey, and give you finger guns and it's all good, right? It's women that actually get the benefit in sentencing, and this is attributed. And again, obviously, this is just sociology, so it's not really a science. But it's interesting that if you think sociology is a science, you would reject this, which is part of that hard science that you worship so much. The idea is that women get away with doing these awful crimes because of their roles as like mother, caregiver that we have in our minds, right? So anyway, I saw this story. Oxford student who stabbed her boyfriend, and trust me, that is a very loose interpretation. I think it was like a Tinder date, right? Will likely be spared jail because of her extraordinary talent as a surgeon. All right. So I'm going to read you this one. Lavinia Woodward, 24, studied at Christ Church College, Oxford, stabbed her Cambridge educated, it's the old classic, it's the boat race all over again, stabbed her Cambridge-educated boyfriend in the leg on December 30th following a row. The pair had a drink and drug-fueled argument.
Speaking, of course.
Well, apparently she has drug problems. That's one of the things. I mean, so she's basically... you'll see where I'm going to go with this at the end.
So Louise Mensch stabbed the boy in the leg.
Right? She was basically... She punched him and then swiped at him with a bread knife and then stabbed him in the leg before smashing a laptop over him, hitting him with a glass and a jam jar.
Reasonable.
She's gone a bit over the top there, hasn't she? Right? Now, she's apparently going to be an incredibly talented surgeon. So what she's done would normally mean a custodial sentence, but the judge has said that he's probably not going to send her to jail. This is Judge Pringle, and is going to defer sentencing for 4 months while he mulls it all over. And he says, it seems to me that this was a complete one-off, to prevent this extraordinarily able young lady from not following her long-held desire to enter the profession she wishes to, would be a sentence which would be too severe. So in other words, even though she has stabbed somebody, stabbed her partner, she's so talented that it would be like pulling the wings off a butterfly. We just can't send her to jail. And then, get this, same judge talking, what you did will never leave you, I know, but it was pretty awful. And normally it would attract a custodial sentence, whether it is immediate or suspended. The court was told she is bright and has already had articles published in medical journals. And the defender said it would be incredibly unlikely she would be able to follow through on her dream, regardless of whether a custodial sentence was issued, because she would need to declare her criminal conviction, which right there shows you how absurd the viewpoint is that, oh, she's got an extraordinary talent. She might never get to use this talent. I think, as it turns out, she probably will. This is how fucked up it is. And it's interesting, isn't it, that this story hasn't, like, blown up. Like, nobody's, like, really outraged about it or whatever. But it just goes to show, look, obviously, I would say the majority of domestic violence probably is men on women. And that sucks and it's horrible and nobody should ever have to endure it. I had a bird who used to smash me around quite a bit. She was a fiery one. I used to get woke up with the occasional plate to the dome for things that I'd done only in her mind. Serious, she was fucking crazy. I used to come in and all my clothes would be laid out on the bed and I'd be like, she's doing the laundry. But then she'd like hold up like a hair and go, whose hair is that? Well, I'll just take that down the lamp.
Sorry.
Yeah, she was convinced I was cheating on her all the time. And back then I was a pussy. I wouldn't have cheated. So yeah, I've been on the receiving end. It's tough because you get told simultaneously you can't hit a woman back. So, you got a woman swiping at you with fucking scissors or throwing cups at you or smashing a plate off your head or trying to punch you.
Once a weapon gets involved, that rule goes out the window. If you're coming at me with blades, I'm coming 100%. Like, if you're getting to that level of unreasonable, digs need to be applied.
Yeah, the idea of hitting anyone
with blades in their hands. I mean...
Yeah, obviously in a life or death fight, but it never really felt that way. It was like, yeah, this could get nasty. I could get a scar here, But I don't think she's gonna take my kidney out.
But anyway, 50-50, mate. I won't be taking that one, mate.
Gonna give her an emotional support dig to the chop.
Yeah, I'll be rushing the door on that one as well, mate. Straight.
Yeah, but this, yeah, you said, so I understand. But this is a mad story, like, and it's like, come on, guys, this is ridiculous. This is not a story anyone should feel good about. Like, if you stab your partner, and fuck the whole gender thing. This is an argument where you haven't just stabbed somebody, you've slashed them with a knife, you've punched them, you've smashed a laptop, a glass, like all these things over there. If you switch the genders and tell this story,
exactly,
it's absolutely horrific. And that person probably goes to, the man probably goes to jail.
Yeah, I can never escape that in his life.
Yeah, and 4 to 8 years, whether he's talented or not. But and like I say, so just think on this as well, that she's a junkie. She's someone who's had drug problems, emotionally unstable, and yet a judge is trying to sign off on letting her be a surgeon. I mean, I don't know about you, but like just generally, I like my surgeons to be grounded,
mentally stable.
Yeah, not strung out on drugs of any kind. Definitely not shaking because they haven't been able to get any.
I prefer my surgeon not to be beaked up his tits when he's doing my triple bypass, mate. So there you go. And she set herself the modest goal of saying her ambition is to cure heart disease. So
that's a reasonable thing, reasonable ambition. So meanwhile, while this sentence hearing was going on, do you know where she was?
Where?
Barbados. She went on holiday.
So
mad levels of remorse. Oh, is that my hearing sentencing? Do I have to attend? I don't have to attend, but it would certainly look good if I did, but I don't have to. And the judge is a massive pussy and is already saying I don't need to worry. Yeah, I'll just fuck off to Barbados, actually, if that's all right with you.
I'll be able to go do some beak over here, actually. There's real cheap beak in Barbados.
I'll be just smoking this fucking massive pipe of fucking unpurified crack.
So...
It's unreal, isn't it?
Getting menched off my lips.
Yeah, I am having a right old mensch. So, yeah, so just a mad story I just wanted to end on. Because I just thought that was just insane. And again, I keep, it's just ridiculous that I keep hearing about patriarchy. Okay, where does this fit into the patriarchy? How does this work? Oh, well, yeah, but look at this. Right, okay, cool. So you have it. So just obviously to wrap up the show, bring it full circle. If I were you and I didn't know who Chris Cornell was, or I didn't get the chance to listen to Soundgarden, or maybe I came a little bit later and I only heard Audio Slave, I would certainly tell you to go back. And I tweeted it out. There is one song, absolutely definitive song, I think, that kind of encapsulates everything. It shows everything that was good about him as a singer. And that was the one off Bad Motorfinger called Mind Riot. But that whole album is ridiculous. It was released in 1991. When grunge was still kind of in its infancy. But basically, yeah, I got some nice cut crystal glasses. That's what it said, anyway. Probably not. And I'm going to pour out a nice expensive whiskey and have a big slug for all time's sake for the glorious year that was 1994. So, Chris Cornell. I'm sure he's up there now with all the other fucking legends, jamming his tits off. And to all of you, take care of yourself. And I'll see you on the next Richard Lewis show. Thanks very much.